Logan, everybody, this is John and Glenn with BestPriceNutrition.com. Today we're going to talk to you guys about gluten, gluten-free foods, and mainly supplements is going to be our main focus. For those of you who don't know what gluten is a protein. It's specific when a complex of protein gets mixed with water. Commonly it's from wheat protein is where you're going to find it. It can be found in a lot of foods and supplements, and there's a lot of people that need to avoid it due to having celiac disease. Do you want to touch on that a little bit, Glenn? Like, what is celiac disease?
Yeah, it's an inability to digest gluten in the body, and it's actually pretty common in people, but it often goes undiagnosed. They just think that, I have stomach issues, so they do whatever they can to maintain that. But celiac is just that. It's an inability to digest and absorb gluten, so it sort of passes through, and they have a lot of gas and bloating, sometimes diarrhea, things like that.
And interestingly enough, like Glenn says, a lot of people have it goes undiagnosed. And part of the reason it goes undiagnosed is, A, it's not always the easiest thing to diagnose because oftentimes it's mistaken for other digestive disorders where people are having problems with the gut. In fact, there's been some research that have shown that 8 out of 10 people are genetically predisposed to it, and 1 in 3 people have it. So that's pretty drastic.
A lot of people.
And 1 in 8 people actually know that they have it.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about, it commonly gets mixed diagnosed. Some real interesting work, we'll just touch on it briefly. Chris Kresser has it on his website, and it's actually the link between autoimmune thyroid disease and gluten. And what it is there's a protein in gluten that is structurally similar to the thyroid gland. So what happens is when that protein gets into your bloodstream, your body attacks it. So hence the autoimmune response. So there's some really, really interesting data that links that from a compilation of research. So we recommend checking that out if you're somebody who does have celiacs or thinks you may have it because of digestive problems. As we said, it seems quite prevalent in people.
Yeah, it is common, and often it just, if you go into the doctor, it's hard to diagnose or goes misdiagnosed. And a lot of times people just say, hey, I have a stomach ache, and they live with it. So. Definitely, if you feel like it's something you have, it's something to get checked out.
Yeah, and the autoimmune thyroid disease we talk about are Graves' and Hashimoto's, and it refers to hypo and hyperthyroidism, caused by an immune response, where basically that means your body attacks itself as a result of it. So, and we talked before in like the paleo video and stuff.
Yeah.
The problem with grains and stuff like that, they're more modern as far as our GI tracts are concerned. So, hence, it's not really a surprise that we don't have the ability to handle them in our gut. Now, the issue becomes with finding on labels and labeling.
Yeah.
As of right now, as far as the FDA is concerned, it's a voluntary thing to say whether or not a product is gluten-free. Now, there are a lot of foods and products out there that are gluten-free, but are not necessarily labeled. And some people have gone up to it and said, ours is gluten-free. They've had it tested, so now they're putting it on labels.
It's a good idea, too, also, because I think a lot of people trying to avoid gluten, not everybody knows what to look for, especially in a supplement, because there are some things like glutamine peptides you would have no idea would contain gluten when they actually do.
That's the source of it, is the hydrolyzed wheat protein. And Glenn makes a good point there. And, typically people think wheat, rye, barley. Avoid those. I'm going to avoid gluten. That's kind of true, but it's used as a filler. Sometimes it's in foods for to create like a chewy texture. It makes dough rise. It's in sometimes it's in sauces like ketchup, and it's not listed as gluten or as wheat protein sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an issue too. So there's some really good resources out there you guys can find on Google for finding gluten-free foods. That's not our purpose today. We're here to talk to you guys about supplements as far as it pertains to. So let's pull a few of these. Why don't you give the example Allmax?
Yeah, this is a company who this is gluten-free. They're also kosher certified, but it's something that they don't put on their label. This is, like John was saying, it's voluntary. I have heard they are going to be putting it on the labels. So
how do you know that it is?
I guess, how do I know? I guess I could look at the ingredients. I was told, though, from someone at Allmax or from a higher up there that it is gluten-free. But I guess if you were to look at the ingredients panel, you could go through each ingredient and know that what is gluten, what's not.
And you want to be sure though, because some people are really sensitive to it. And this autoimmune response we talked about, you could have it once, and that response can continue for 6 months. So I think due to sensitivity. But wasn't it on their website as well?
Yes, it's It's also on their website.
Okay,
yes.
That's what I was going for. There's some vegetable proteins. These are from sprouts actually. So these are from sprouted grasses and things like that. So it has probiotics and enzymes in there. And this is actually gluten-free too. This is a raw protein and it's dairy-free too for those of you who are trying to avoid dairy too.
Yeah, here's another one, the plant fusion protein. This is again sprouted. It's got pea protein, artichoke, sprouted amaranth. I think that's how you say that. Yeah, quinoa, and they had some.
Just a variety of vegetable proteins.
And it does say on the label gluten-free. So
clearly. It's a post-workout supplement we've talked about before. Insupro, it's gluten-free, lactose-free, so it's on the label. So you could find these things on the label. Here's some bars actually. I'm not sure that Universal ever even changed anything with their ingredients. I think they just knew it was gluten-free and then decided to label it as people have started to look for it, as we started to find more and more people with celiac disease. Now the problem with diagnosing celiac disease is sometimes if you don't have the leaky gut, it doesn't always make it in the stool. So what they're doing now is cheek swabs to check for the DNA. And as we said, about 8 in 10 people tend to have these genes, so tend to be predisposed. So just to be on the safe side, if you're having any digestive problems or anything, just avoid it altogether. Yeah. It could be as simple as I'm getting bad gas pains and things like that. So it can act like glue in the GI tract, is typically how it's been described. So.
And the problem is like John had stated, a lot of times this gluten looks like other proteins in the body, and the body...
Yeah, specifically the thyroid is what it is. There's actually a specific protein in there. I forgot the name of it, but that's not the point. The point is that if you have any gluten intolerances, supplements, you can turn to them, because some of them more and more now you're starting to be labeled gluten-free and things of that nature. So. And as I said, there's some really good resources online you can look for. As we always say when we talk about resources online, it's not always the easiest thing. We understand you got to cut through the muck. On one side, you're going to have some lazy skepticism, or everything sucks and they're not really doing any research. And on the other side, you're going to have people that everything's great and there's not a lot of research. You got to kind of find that in between and sharpen your filter. Like I said, the gluten thyroid connection article is on Chris Kresser's website, so that's a good one to check out. He's got some other interesting stuff on there as well. So I think we covered everything as far as supplements. Glutamine peptides, big telltale sign. Yeah,
definitely glutamine peptides. You could see it listed as hydrolyzed wheat gluten sometimes, obviously because it says gluten, it's in there.
And I think most supplement companies are getting up to date that if it's gluten-free, they're going to put it on the label. So just to be safe, make sure it's gluten-free. If you're not sure if it's something that we carry, by all means, you can call us and we'll definitely check into it and let you know for sure. So that wraps that up. Hopefully we're able to help out, because we've gotten a few questions on this topic. We really, really appreciate everyone watching our videos, commenting on them. Those of you who order from us, even if you don't order from us, we'll obviously answer your questions. We do really, really appreciate it. And also you can check us out at facebook.com/BestPriceNutrition. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.